side chick, but really I'm finna slide in. Yo, bro is mine too, so I just might have to start dating too. Parents say you're a saint, but yo, Snapchat saying you ain't. Stop fronting on all these hoes. You know your mama still buy you clothes. Shut the fuck up!
Culture is an important thing. It's a window into the thoughts, traditions, and views of both those who are different from us, as well as some of the commonalities that we all share. And if you're a regular viewer of mine, you already know that I love nothing more than to celebrate and show off the diverse and colorful side of the musical world. So today, I thought we could take some time to dig into the music of one of the most important, touching, and often thought-provoking cultures around.
Leave the store!
Here's
Leave the store!
Here's where
Leave the store! Off! I don't give a get out!
Liberal middle-class white people. Because hey, things have been pretty heavy lately, so why not take some time to listen to one of the most oppressed groups in modern society? Avocado toast-loving trust fund kids are well known for their impeccable taste and exquisite views on media. And with such amazing artists like Lil Xan and Andrew Jackson Jihad all showing their faces here, you know you're in for an absolute treat. So let's just sit back and relax and enjoy the soothing sounds that rich kids with daddy issues just can't get enough of, and maybe we can just get a little closer, a little better of a look, a little bit more of an understanding of the essentials of white people music.
I wish my family believed in me. I wish these glasses were actually prescription. I am now going to share my political views with you.
Yeah, we're happy, free, confused, and lonely at the same time. It's miserable and magical, oh yeah.
Now, I think the quickest way to see what the middle-class white people are all about is to learn the basics. What do I need to pretend to like in order to get laid? And the essentials are actually fairly easy. Feminism, Disney, going to Target and an adventure, and the goddess of girl bossing herself, T Swift. Look, I know it's a low blow, but you can't tell me that I'm wrong. Taylor Swift has terrorized straight men everywhere just looking to get their dick wet for the better part of 10 years. Every basic white girl's playlist is bound to include at least 7 songs from Taylor, if not outright be the majority of it. And that's mostly due to her ability to Pied Piper her way into the brains of just about any demographic outside of poverty. Starting off her early days as a Christian country girl, to becoming a more prep-friendly pop star, having her quarter-life crisis at 22, and a quick attempt at a riot girl phase. She's honestly covered just about all the bases of middle-class white women and cornered the market for longer than any of her other contemporaries, fueling her lyrics by going on her infamous dating escapades and monetizing her flaws. Arguably being even more famous than her music, she would use these same dating escapades to keep herself in the public eye by hooking up with other celebrities and making a public spectacle of the whole thing before it inevitably goes up in a trash fire. And a platinum record would always be produced out of the fallout, which is essentially a white girl's wet dream. As much as I want to laugh and meme on Taylor, she's a bit of a genius in a way. Well, a genius at grifting more money than God out of her rabid and obnoxious fan base, and arguably reversing generations of evolution as she does so. But you know what? That's just the girl boss way. Oh, I can just feel you seething in the comments already. Please, do me a favor and fulfill my criticisms of you by crying about how much of a fucking queer I am and suck off Phil Anselmo's greasy, disgusting gun crease. Look, Pantera are metal pioneers who've written some legendary and outright important songs. I'm not even going to pretend like I don't like some of their work, but they are the epitome of tough guy machismo music, with good old Uncle Phil himself being the model for angry white dudes who slam shitty beer and beat their wives everywhere. I mean, we've all seen these guys in metal comment sections, at shows, talking about how Pantera is the greatest band to have ever lived and no one compares and you're not a real metal fan unless you like Pantera. And you know what? Sure, songs like Cemetery Gates as well as floods, are fantastic songs, and the innovations that they brought with lower tunings, syncopated rhythms, and more contemporary approaches to metal vocals is fantastic. But that won't save them from being laughed at for their hair metal years. Not to mention that Chris Chan level album art, or their biggest sin in birthing one of the most pretentious yet white trash fan bases on the planet, and arguably having a vocalist and frontman even more hateable than Ronnie Radke. I didn't know it was possible. Look, I couldn't just pick one name for this. The SoundCloud wave has come and gone, but its consequences are still felt to this day.
Yeah, Sid. Yeah, bitch, that's a car alarm.
Mumble raps over obnoxious beats being screamed out incoherently by dudes who look like the living embodiment of herpes is, well, it's a plague that I will never forget. While some genuinely great artists like Ghostmane and Little Darky came from this wave, it also gave us unforgettable minds such as Lil Pump and Lil Xan.
What's up, all my friends? Fans go nuts when we jump in. Dance don't make me who I am. Dance don't make me what I am.
Absolutely profound. The SoundCloud wave was the height of white dudes everywhere, embracing their inner culture vulture and synthesizing the most base and comical aspects of contemporary hip-hop, doing their best to act hard when in reality they just stood as talentless con men, making an absolute mockery of all races involved. Yet, against all odds, this sound and aesthetic soared to the height of the music scene and cultural influence, all by spitting some clunky off-flow bars about what can only be described as the millennial embodiment of Vanilla Ice.
It's not the same. Ours goes ding 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 diggy ding ding.
And while you did have people like Lil Peep doing their own thing during this wave, it was a far cry from the 6ix9ines of the world who couldn't help themselves from being some of the most reprehensible artists we would ever see. I mean, this guy stole Davi's look and his legacy and still got away with it. To this day, you can go on TikTok and still see this shit on full display. And you know what? God forgive us for it. Well, would you look at the time? It's the part of the video where I e-beg and I ask you to please check out and support my Patreon. Given that I don't compromise on the clips or the subject matter that I talk about on this channel, monetization and making those big YouTube bucks just is not really possible for me. So if you like what I do and you want to see more of it, Patreon is the best place to support me. If you would all enjoy the content or music or anything that I create, please consider supporting. I couldn't thank you enough. You have my gratitude.
Through the finish, the flags go down, the fans get up and they get out of town. The arena is empty except for one man still driving and striving as fast as he can.
Honestly, any of the 90s era rock bands that had a heavy emphasis on being quirky could be here. I could easily have made this section about the Bare Naked Ladies or New Radicals or any other pre-Y2K hipster band, but Cake really is the whitest band that I have ever heard. From taking their dry and retro rock sound and fusing it with everything under the sun, to the fact that singer John McCrea looks like the stereotypical suburban white dad who likes to down cases of Bud Light and blast his Def Leppard albums on Saturday nights, the band is just unique in how much they capture the goofy and outright cringy aspects of white pop culture. Now, I'm not gonna just sit here and say that Cake isn't a talented bunch, because they actually are, and they do have some genuinely great songwriting and guitar work here and there.
Back in 1982, Daria, I won't be sued.
But for every track like Daria, you have at least 5 songs like this.
It's like sharpened knives, 2 chicken McNuggets, now heads of state who ride and wrangle, who look at your face from more than one angle, can cut you from their bloated bunch. It's like sharpened knives, 2 chicken.
I hate to use the word goofy again, but I'm not sure what else to call it. It's got stupid lyrics, obnoxious genre fusions with Latin groove, mariachi, and big band, as well as these dry and outright annoying vocals. And look, I know, Madison, this just isn't your thing. But in all honesty, whose thing is it outside of 20-something dudes who dress like this and think they're the shit because they still get high with teenagers? Yeah, that's what I thought. Cake is also a great example of a band who came close to escaping the one-hit wonder status, but ended up falling flat. And with a sound as gimmicky as theirs, once the turn of the century came, their popularity went out the window, forever being immortalized as that band who did the theme song for some shitty cop drama.
I mean, you're a pretty girl. Want to get a drink sometime, or?
You can see on camera, yes?
I figure if I was on, would you want to get a drink sometime? I mean, I'm down if you're down. We'll have a good time. I'm serious.
What's your name?
I'm Adam. We should get a drink sometime. Seriously.
Well, don't ask me on camera.
Okay.
Do you ever wonder what the worst pussy of your life would sound like if it was music? Because the lazy anti-pop artists that came from the mid-2010s are the epitome of that. Lorde, Halsey, Juliet Sims, each have their place in this category, but the queen of the genre is undoubtedly Lana Del Rey, the voice for privileged rich girls with daddy issues everywhere. The Tumblr titan has definitely fallen out of the limelight since her height, but as with the SoundCloud wave of hip-hop and EDM, we'll get to that, her overall influence and consequences on the music industry can still be heard to this day. So, what would happen if you took a hipster roastie who loved to skip out on her college lectures to go write god-awful poetry that she feels is just so deep and so profound, and you gave her a record contract? Well, you get our dear girl Lana. Where artists before her took similar approaches were more on the self-aware side of things like Krayshawn, Lana is far from ironic.
I say you the bestest, leaning for a big kiss, put his favorite perfume on, go play a video game.
And garbage songs like this, with lyrics glorifying and chasing after dudes who just aren't interested, and promiscuous anthems about not giving a fuck and getting high, such as Born to Die.
Sometimes life is not enough and the road gets tough. I don't know why keep making me laugh. Let's go get high. The road is long, we'll carry on.
Are just testaments to what could be found in her god-awful discography. While the Tumblr generation idolized many awful artists, I still hate you cucks. Lana really was the precursor to the type of insufferable person birthed some of the most toxic and insane character tropes, only beat out by modern TikTok.
Gosh, what? Look, I'm sorry. Look, let me finish, okay? I was wrong, okay? I was wrong. I need you more than you need me. I need you way more than you need me, alright? I'm sorry. Man, I'm sorry I made you late for your exam, and I'm sorry I ran over your bike, and I'm sorry I'm probably the worst brother in the world, and, you're way better off without me.
I know in the beginning of this video, I talked about how the Pantera fans would probably raid my comment section, but if anyone's gonna do it, it's this group. I'm expecting a lot of butthurt, but you guys know I'm right. Don't even pretend here. Whiny singing or exaggeratingly reciting heartbroken poetry over twinkly technical guitars being paired with jazz-influenced indie rock is the epitome of rich white trust fund kid. And no one needs to look no further than the fan base to see this on full display. Just looking at this picture, I can smell the PBR, shitty craft beer, and Pitchfork magazines fresh off the press already. And you know what? I think most people would actually really like it. While sure, the vocals can be a bit annoying and drive you up the wall from time to time if dudes sounding like their balls were put through a blender isn't exactly your forte, but the actual music itself, and on top of that the bands with good vocals, such as the genre's kings, American football,
Just fragments of another life.
is some of the finest music that you could indulge yourself in. It's rich in experimentation, technical skill, passion for the music, and as much as I shit on the community, people who actually love this shit and die for it, it's extremely respectable, and its unlikely popularity and success are 100% something to be praised. But the fan base. The fan base is Reddit incarnate. Wikipedia scholars who gatekeep and white knight so hard, secondhand embarrassment is an inevitable symptom of just peering in as an outsider. And the best way I can explain it is, Midwest emo is to alternative music as black metal is to heavy music. Cringy gatekeepers eager to purity spiral and take a massive shit on anyone outside of the cult. It's also another example of where an embrace of unconformity has become nothing more than a uniform to wear, facing the same fate as both punk and goth had before it. If you ever want to eviscerate your liver, say My Chemical Romance is your favorite emo band in an online community where Midwest fans are prominent, and take a shot every time some retard says, MCR isn't real emo. The bait might be obvious, but you'd be amazed at just how many still fall for it. If I'm gonna clown on hipster elitist, I might as well clown on molly-riddled preps. Anyone who's watched even a single video of mine knows that I adore electronic music. From IDM, techno, breakcore, D&B, trance, downtempo, lo-fi, I love almost all of it, and electronic producers have been some of the biggest pushers in musical innovations. So how do you take something as niche, weird, and oftentimes complex and give it to a brain-dead audience of Adderall addicts? Well,
Yo, Skrill, drop it hard.
I actually like old Skrillex. I mean, I have a video praising OG Skrillex, and dubstep was admittedly my gateway into the electronic scene, but its overall audience is, kind of fucking brain dead. And deadmau5 was always on the money with his criticisms of the genre, even if he was arguably even more guilty for pushing electronic music into the EDM wave that still sits at the top in terms of public perception. But Madison, that's dubstep, not EDM. Shove it up your ass, Roasty. Dubstep and house were the genres that set the stage for EDM, trap, and nearly all the other genres on full showcase at any large EDM festival. Obviously, some great artists have come from this scene, and amazing albums have been produced. But despite artists like Porter Robinson, Getter, Old Skrillex, and other legends bringing great music to the table, it will never be able to overshadow the landfill of garbage that sits as an acid rain cloud over the world of electronic music, where your average fuckboy with a copy of Ableton and Serum can headline a music festival of thousands, all without plugging in a single mixer or CDJ. And that's not even to mention the fan base. Look, I could say a lot, but I think the smell wafting off these pictures says more than enough. I don't even think I need to say anything. This video does more than I ever could.
I like telling dirty jokes, and I like smoking crystal meth, but darling, laughing at retards. I like throwing rocks at dogs. Yeah, darling, I love you.
This is one that could easily be shat on as a whole, because finding a folk punk band that doesn't suck is like finding Sasquatch. He may very well be out there, but holding your breath will only leave you in the same casket as Kimmy Dawson's career. But Andrew Jackson Jihad is White Guilt the band.
First they take the land, then they take the soil, and with their bloody hands, they dig for oil. So fuck white people, fuck white people, fuck white people, fuck white people.
With the trademark boring songwriting, shitty singing, and secondhand embarrassment lyrics that plague the genre as a whole. AJJ is, simply put, the essential folk punk band, while being one of the most merciful because they aren't nearly as bad as many of the other names associated with this scene. But that being said, they play themselves up as a cock tease, where tracks like this
Hands, but I've got an angry heart, filled with cancers and poppy tarts. If this is how you folks make art, it's fucking depressing.
make you scream knowing that this band doesn't have to suck, but they choose to anyway. Something that's a bit of a constant theme among many of the legends of folk punk. Jeffrey Lewis. But sadly, most of the genre decides to stay as cookie cutter and garbage as it gets, with the theme song of Juno really being the essential piece to understand what all these bands sound like. Whiny and terrible singing, horrifically cringy and embarrassing lyrics, out-of-tune guitars, and just the lack of talent and the pretentiousness that comes from thinking that that's a talent in itself, defining the genre. Fuck Andrew Jackson Jihad and fuck folk punk. You know, I might have bitten off more than I can chew, because despite the claims that whites have no culture, there are far too many bands and genres for a single video, so you know what? I might have to retread familiar ground in the future, and well, if you'd like to see that, you should comment down below, or whatever other cringy YouTubers say at this point. But I hope our little educational journey today has at least shed a little bit of light on the wonderfully diverse and beautiful culture of middle-class white people. And I hope you join me again, and we can dig even deeper into the pale abyss. But with that being said, you rich fucks got money burning a hole in your pocket, so why not throw me a little bit of cash on Patreon? Subscribe, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Odyssey, and I'll see you in the next video.